I am Karen Ramming, and I am the Senior Director of Digital Innovation and Communications at Tracktown USA. I grew up in the sport of running, essentially. I did cross country and track and field through middle school, high school, a little bit in college. I spent 3 years in college at the University of Oregon and 2 years running at Tarleton State University. And professionally, I got my start in PR, comms, and content as an undergrad, working with the pit crew. And then from there, I worked for Tracktown USA for a little bit out of college, Pac-12 Network, Golden State Warriors, and now back here at Tracktown USA. So I spent just over 3 years with the Warriors and Chase Center. While I was there, we were one of the largest sports teams in the world. I'm sure that it's even bigger now, but I loved it and it taught me a lot. And the other great thing about working for a brand that is so big within the world of sports is that the people that are there are really, really good at their jobs. That's pretty incredible. So everyone was so good at their jobs and we were all just able to learn from each other and hold each other to such a high standard that I think that that's how we were able to kick out such good work on a regular basis. So being a woman in an industry that's predominantly dominated by men, it's hard. I just had to teach myself through the years that you can be a feminine woman, you can be good at your job, you can do both at the same time, and having confidence in doing both at the same time will allow others to have confidence in that as well. My connections to Oregon really started with college. I spent 3 of my 5 years in college here at University of Oregon, and I absolutely fell in love with the state, and I was already in love with track and field, and so of course coming here to Tracktown USA, that was only going to grow. I started working with Tracktown USA while I was an undergrad. I got randomly picked to do a volunteer position at a track meet where I was camera switching for the video board. And ever since then, that was in 2014, every single summer, I ended up back here in Eugene helping out in some capacity with some of their events. You know, I'd manage the mix zone, I'd do live social coverage, photo chiefing, whatever they needed underneath the media umbrella. I always found my way back up here. So when Mike O'Reilly started talking to me about this position and where the company was going, I got so excited because I love the sport, I love the state, I love this media content comms trifecta that I'm working in, and this just combined everything into one role in something that I'm really passionate about. And I know that I am very lucky to be able to say that I get to do what I love for a living and I don't take it for granted. So I was super stoked, super stoked to come back. So our content strategy here at Tracktown USA, we kind of gave it an overhaul now that we had the folks and resources to really invest in it. We decided to take a much more intentional approach with the content we are producing and how we were leveraging our channels. We wanted to make sure that what we were putting out tied back to Tracktown USA first and foremost, whether it's the Eugene and Springfield community or whether it's the events that we're putting on here at Hayward Field. We wanted to make sure that it had a strong tie back to this being the heart of track and field in the United States. And so doing that, we really leaned into athlete storytelling. Track and field, there's a lot of coverage of what's happening on the track, on the field, and we don't get as much of the humanizing pieces of content coming out of the sport as you see with a lot of other of the major sports within the United States. And so we wanted to do that with a series like Road to Tracktown, where we profile 4 athletes in their lead up to the USA Outdoor Championships. We wanted to do that by incorporating more lifestyle content opportunities within our events. So we have different athlete arrivals, that way they can show their fits off when they get to the track. We have lifestyle photo sets, things like that, just to showcase the athletes as more human and therefore create more entry points for fandom almost. When you see somebody that you relate to on a human level, you're more likely to become invested in them and invested in their success and want to cheer for them and potentially become a fan of the sport that they're within as well. So part of our content and digital strategy is to create as many touch points with as many people as possible to grow fandom and to grow the profile of the athletes within our sport, but with an intentional tie back to the Eugene and Springfield community and Tracktown USA and the events that we're hosting here. So for a content series, for instance, like Road to Tracktown, where we profiled 4 athletes that were across the United States, the tie back here was the fact that they were all training to qualify for the USA Outdoor Championships that we were hosting here at Hayward Field. And so being able to find what those stories are that resonate both on the local scale with our community here, as well as a larger audience because they are human, that's the balance that we've been trying to strike all year. The sport has always and will always be strong here. And so how do we do right by telling the history of Tracktown USA and the legacy of everyone that has come through it to build it into what it is, while still, leaning into TikTok trends. A site like Hayward Field and events like the Olympic trials, there's naturally going to be that crossover and those ties from the past, the history, the legacy to modern day. That's kind of what storytelling and digital outlets were made for. So the Prefontaine Classic in September was amazing. It was the Diamond League final, which this is the first time that the Diamond League final has been hosted in the United States. And it was also the best meet ever, according to World Athletics competition and performance rankings. So being able to be the event organizers and the hosts to that kind of an event was honestly incredible. And I think that, the track and field fan base, the athletes, media, content creators, everyone came through and understood the assignment, and it was an incredible event. And we put on a show, and I think that that's really important because when Hayward Field was being reconstructed, the intention of it was to be a theater of track and field. And that's honestly what it felt like at the Pre-Classic, just the multiple world records, the national records. It seemed like there was just constantly incredible performances back to back to back, and the crowd was getting into it, and we were getting way too much content than we ever could have published. And it was fun. And my motto for my team is have fun and make cool shit, and that's just what we were able to do for 72 hours straight, and that's just the best feeling in the world. So with an event like the Prefontaine Classic serving as the Wanda Diamond League final, coming to Eugene, obviously there's going to be a ton more eyeballs on it. There's going to be a spotlight on us and what we're doing. And we wanted to make sure that we were in the best position possible to take advantage of that. We were really intentional. It took a ton of planning and a ton of coordination, but when it came down to it, we knew that it was all going to be worth it because this was our moment to show what track and field can be in the United States and what coverage of it could be in the United States, and I think that we did a pretty good job. Outside of optimizing our events for coverage and content gathering of these athletes and our sport, we also launched a few unique digital-first content series during the 365 of the year. Road to Tracktown has been the most notable one. We profiled 4 athletes in their lead up to the 2023 USATF Outdoor Championships this year. We had Ryan Krauser, Tara Davis-Woodhall, Anna Hall, and Allie Wilson, runner, jumper, thrower, multi. But that kind of content series where we were showcasing their athletic performance. We were covering the meets leading up to USAs and all of that in their training, but we were also showing them as people and what it meant for them to have like dinner nights with their roommates or what they did on their spare time or some of their hobbies or their styles. And that really resonated with our audience. It ended up getting millions. I think it's at over almost 10 million, maybe over 10 million total video plays between our channels and the athlete channels. For any young professionals that want to pursue a career in content communications or social media in the sports industry, my biggest piece of advice is always to say yes to as many experiences as you possibly can without getting taken advantage of. I think from a technical aspect in terms of figuring out what you actually want to do within this very nebulous career path, you also establish a really strong network, and the sports industry is small, and so having a network of professionals that can help you along the way, and that's already baked in as you go on your own career journey, is going to be very, very valuable. So going into the 2024 season, I would definitely recommend people keep an eye on our channels. We are working on some really special and exciting projects right now that I can't wait to roll out. And especially with it being an Olympic year, the Olympic track and field trials are coming back to Hayward Field June 21st to 30th, 2024, and that will be the pinnacle of our event season. So we're going to be doing some really cool stuff there, and I'm excited.